Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to this session of the Thriving Families Africa Summit. Today, we are exploring a very interesting space, how families stay grounded when they're going through change. And the title is Globally Mobile Families, Parenting with Stability in Motion. Our guest, Anthi, is an international parent coach, a good friend, and someone I've done some work together with, and it was so much fun. And though we are now miles apart, I really appreciate that we can still connect and we can still, there's so much that we can still share with one another, learn from one another, and have a conversation like this. So, Anthi, I'm so glad you said yes to this conversation. Welcome.
I'm so thrilled you asked. When I left Kenya 6 months ago now, I thought, oh, can't believe I've just met Dr. Carol and now I've got to leave her. So I'm thrilled that we have found new ways to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
fun projects and helpful projects together. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank God for technology.
indeed.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got to doing what you do, and then just so that we can get started.
Sure. I sound very English, but I'm actually Greek. I grew up in Athens and I went to an international school for many different reasons, most of them practical. And in that setting, I had many, many friends who came and went all the time. They would spend 2 years in our school and go, 1 year in our school and go. And we were the kind of the permanent crew. There was like a group of us who were there from like grade one all the way through. But
Hmm.
the majority of us were kind of really fluid. And there's this beautiful poem that's been written about children who grow up in international settings like that. And it says that we make friends fast, but we rarely make fast friends. And I think this is a big challenge for anybody who is raising children internationally, not just the children, but the adults too. We're very good at making friends quickly. A quick drink with somebody, a quick chat over a cup of tea, a quick dinner after work, fine. But as soon as we pack and we leave, very rarely do we take those friendships and that community with us. So every time we move, we are having to build a whole new community.
Hmm.
I was a teacher for many years myself in international schools, and I saw many, many parents find it really hard, and particularly children who were diagnosed with dyslexia, autism, processing differences. And those parents, especially, were very alienated by that international movement system because if you were back home and something like that happened, you know the process of getting help for your child and for you.
Hmm.
International schools and international families, it's easy to find help for your kids. Like Nairobi, right? You've got millions of OTs and SLTs and play therapists and wonderful people who work with children. Very few who work with parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think it's a subtle difference. Like a lot of people say to me, oh, I go and see my child therapist and they help me as a parent.
Hmm.
But like the lens of a parent is so different to the lens of a child.
Yeah.
And I watched a lot of parents struggle with that. And
Hmm.
then I became a parent, Carol, and I am a hugely intelligent, successful human being who is pretty good at most things she tries, except sports, team sports. And terrible. Oh, and I can't sing. I can't sing. But other than that, I'm really quite good at a lot of things, right? And I became a parent and I was rubbish at it. And it wasn't my fault. It wasn't because I wasn't trying. I'd read the books, I'd listened to the podcast, I'd followed like Dr. Bloody Becky, whatever. I was doing all the things right, but the problem was in me.
Yeah.
I had depression, I had undiagnosed ADHD, I had moved to a new country with a 7 week old, so I had no community. I'd paused my career teaching so that I could look after this 7 week old because new country, I didn't have anyone to leave him with. My husband went to work, fair, one of us had to stay home. So it was really challenging for me. And I remember honestly screaming at a 5 month old. He stopped napping during the day at 5 months. He was like, I'm done with this, sleepers for the week. That was it. He would wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. He would nap from 10:30 to, no, from 10 to 11:30 every day.
Hmm.
And that was it until he went to bed at 8 p.m.
Hmm.
for 5 months. And I remember screaming at this baby because I was so desperate for some time alone to
Hmm.
have a shower, to look after myself. And he wouldn't go to sleep. And that was his right, his body, his choice. But I couldn't get my head around this. And so I had a therapist, I had a lot of help, but it wasn't practical enough for me. It didn't feel transformative. I mean, therapy, it's a beautiful thing for delving and digging and unearthing, And quite often, for a lot of people, that's great and that's sufficient. But with parenting, it's different, isn't it? Like you've got to then turn that into something in that relationship with your child. And that was the bit I couldn't do.
Mhm.
So I got a coach, changed everything. And then I was like, well, this works. So
Mm.
I then did my coaching qualification. And I think it's worth noting to parents, they take a long time, don't they?
They
I
do.
mean, this isn't like a week-long thing. I think it was a
Mhm.
year and a half in total. And I know you've done even longer in your, and I think this is important. This is not a quick fix.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm still working on it. I still read the books and I still work on myself, but I work with beautiful families who move all over the world.
Mhm.
And when you move, that stability piece that you're talking about, you're looking for what are the threads that you carry with you everywhere you go, that you weave into your new life in every country.
Mhm.
And that's the piece that I really help parents with is what do you carry every time you pack up and move somewhere else? What are you taking with you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I really resonate with your approach because my story is almost similar in the sense that I trained as a psychologist. I trained as a teacher. Before I had a child, I would go around talking down at parents and telling them what they were doing wrong and
Yeah.
bashing. I was a big parent basher, sorry. That was
The difficult parents, right? When
before,
you're a
yes,
teacher, the difficult parents.
yes,
Oh, we got
yes.
a difficult parent coming in today.
Yes, and I think there's also a phrase that I've come across that says, "Before I became a parent, I knew exactly what I would not do, and now that I'm a parent," and then he just leaves it open because, woo, how is that for reality check, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so that space of just realizing I need to step back and I need to look inward. And that's one of the spaces that I really resonate with the work that you do because it's really just, again, yes, you want to give the parents tools and strategies and all that, but in what environment? What is going on with you? And so I know that even though you do work with globally mobile families, those principles really cut across every phase of parenting. I like what you have said. What do I carry with me in the different spaces? So for one person to be geographical, for another person, it's in the different phases of parenting, as the children
Yeah.
are growing. But just what do you think is unique with globally mobile families, especially in terms of their emotional landscape?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of really interesting dynamics that are unique to families like my own.
Mhm.
Um, most of these families are multicultural, even in the household.
Yeah.
So I'm Greek. My father was Greek. My mother was English. I'm Greek. And I think that's very interesting to people. They go, well, you're not half and half. But a big part of globally mobile family challenge is identity
Mm.
and rooting.
Mm.
It's very difficult for people. Some children will go through this experience and be able to just root wherever.
Mm.
Some children, like me, need a very specific place to hang their identity. It's
Mm.
really important to some of these children. My son is the same. He has a friend I know very well, very happy, roots wherever they happen to be. And I think this is something. So there's two things there, isn't there? One is what is your identity as a family
Mhm.
when you're a multicultural family?
Mhm.
And then as a child who is in this mixed household, being then moved from country to country, what is their identity? And this is all about knowing your child, isn't it? There's an intimacy of globally mobile families that I think a lot of families who are static don't always have to have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You go to the local school, your kid gets up, you get breakfast, they get on the bus or they walk to school, they come home, their community is there, everything's very static, nothing is changing. What's my identity? Well, I grew up down the road, now you're growing up here. Our identity is this village, is this city, what do you mean? Whereas for children who are moving with their families all the time, it's an almost insular life.
Mm.
You become very it can go one of two ways. You either become incredibly tight as a family
Yeah.
or it becomes fragmented because it's not an easy lifestyle. And I think people think it's a very glamorous lifestyle, people on the
They
outside.
do.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
glamorous, you know,
Mm.
1 month Kenya, the next month Uzbekistan. But the reality is, it's really hard work.
Yeah.
Um, I said to a friend the other day, we're moving again, and they were like, I don't know how you do it. They're like, you've got to find a new dentist, a new doctor, a new pediatrician. If your child is neurodiverse, you've got to find all that support all over again, right? If you've got to find a new job potentially. You've got to find a place to live. Like we lived in a hotel for a week when we first moved here and had to find a place to live. You've got to put all your pictures on the walls and you've got to buy new furniture. You've got to, it's new towels, new sheets. I mean, it's you are setting up a home over and over again.
Mm.
And that is so stressful,
Mm.
so stressful.
Yeah.
Imagine what it's like when you just move house in
I,
your home country,
yeah, yeah. And then
right?
when you're moving across, I mean, there are things that you cannot carry. So even just making that decision, what to leave and what to carry, that must be really hard.
Absolutely. So my husband got an international, because he's a teacher, we're an international teaching family. In our field, you resign August, September, October. So the start of the new school year, which for us starts in August, you're already resigning for
Mm.
the end of that school year. So you resign a year in advance. And then you've got to find a job because you all resign first and then you all swap jobs basically and you find a new job. So we knew we were moving in August
Mm.
24. He got the job in like December, January 25. So we had from January till June to pack up and leave. In the meantime, he's still going to work every day full time in a very high pressure environment because international schools tend to be very high pressure.
Mm.
I'm doing this work every day. I think we did two events together, didn't we, in
Yes.
that
Two events.
period?
Yes.
So it was super busy.
Mm.
At the same time, for example, my father died in April, so I had to deal with that. So that life still is going on back home as
Yeah.
well.
Mm.
And we were also trying to decide whether we take the dining table or our son's bicycle, or trying to negotiate with him about which toys he needed to let go of and which ones we could take. And trying to sell stuff and give stuff away. Like, we're big believers in service. And so we were kind of we hired a guy with a van for 2 weeks to just drive stuff around Nairobi. And in the meantime, regular life was still going on. Our son was still going to school, work, like I say, grief, bereavements. It was just business as usual. So I think this level of stress really adds. And if, when we think about our feelings and like that whole thermometer temperature check, and we think about as parents, where are we?
Mm.
We're usually all of us at least 50% up there these days because life is stressful. And then you add all of this into either leaving a country or arriving in a country. So you're spending 6 months at the start and 6 months at the end of each cycle at a much higher elevation of stress and feeling.
Mm.
So every little thing that your child does has the potential to tip you over the edge.
Mm.
You're already feeling guilty, right? Because you're already taking them out of their school, away from their friends, dragging them out of their sports clubs, their hobbies, their home. If you've got pets, sometimes people have to leave them behind. All of this grief that they're also, I mean, it's grief. Everyone is in grief
Mm.
for 6 months sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trying to manage the loss and process the loss. And that's how then it will show up in misbehavior or mental health issues with the children. So, and I know that now when parents are going through motion or going through transitions like that, it's just, they come look for you, Anthi, because they're like, just could you just give me the tools to fix this? Just give me the tools to fix this. I have tried this, I have tried that, I have tried that. Just, I know there is more. So what do
Yeah.
you do with those parents looking for?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the reality is parenting is sort of is an art form. It's one part skill. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
one part skill, it's one part tools, and then it's very much about instinct. And and I know that so many parents right now struggle with instinct. It's why parents come to me and they say, "Can you recommend a book for me?" And I always say, "No, I'm not going to recommend a book for you because that's someone else's voice."
Mm.
And the reason you're in my space is partly because you've listened to too many voices and you've lost your own voice. So yeah, I'm going to give you tools and, the old calming tools and the old sort of like look for these behavior signs in your child and think about your thermometer and let's do safe space visualizations and all of these things. Absolutely. Let's do all of that mind, brain, body connection, regulation. Let's do it. And also, you do not want to be paying me for the rest of your life
Mm.
to walk you through this path,
Yeah.
right? You really, I always say about like good parent coaches, really what you're trying to do is lose your job,
You know, yes,
right?
that is true.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
My job is to
yeah.
make sure you don't need me
Come
anymore.
back to
That's
me.
my job.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
My job is to make sure that you feel like you don't need me anymore.
Mm.
And the only way to do that is by you finding your internal instinctive parenting voice. And you will not find that if I overload you with tools and tips and tricks and scripts. Fucking scripts, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Scripts.
This
I
is
mean,
what
I've
you
lit,
say. This is what
yes,
you say. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I've had parents. I had a parent come around, not a client at all. Somebody came around to buy a piece of furniture. So I can say this, there's no what's the word, confidentiality here. And they were talking to their child, and I swear to God, Carol, it was like they had Big Little Feelings open on their phone and were just reading the posts. And I was walking around listening to them and just thinking, this is a parent who doesn't know what their internal instinct voice sounds like. Because when she spoke to me, it was totally different.
Different. Yeah.
Totally different. I was
Mm.
like, this is like a different person.
Yeah.
Um, the tone, the language, the pitch, the pacing of speech, all of it was totally different.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you talk to your 3-year-old like they're an adult, that's not what we're saying, but you have a personality.
Yeah.
And that personality is a reflection of your inner voice.
Yeah.
If you can't hear it because somebody has given you all of this stuff, it's a bit like a traveling salesperson, or like, like a one-person band. Visions of like parents when they come looking for them, like, here's the drum, and here's the cymbals, and here's the piano, and here's the guitar. And now you're going to walk around and you can barely move because you're so laden down with all these tools and tips and tricks and whatever. How can you parent like that? You can't even walk. So for me, the biggest part is really helping parents tap into their parenting instinct and recognizing that we've evolved to keep children alive, fed, clothed, homed, if we're fortunate enough to be able to offer all of that to our children. And also, there's a lot of stuff in the world today that we have not evolved to deal with as humans, right? Technology has far outpaced evolution. And
Yeah.
it will never catch up, right? Let's be honest, evolution is never going to catch up to technology now. This is it.
Yeah.
So helping them, and that's the other thing, isn't it? Like, you're raising a 5-year-old today, in 10 years' time, they're going to be a teenager. Lord knows what that's going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
So helping them to find that instinct and adapt and be flexible in the way that they parent
Mm-hmm.
within the limits that they set. Because I'm like you, your boundaries are your boundaries. They're not my business as your coach,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You think that this is important in your house,
Go for
it's
it.
up to me,
Yeah.
but go for it. And I'm going to help you to work out how to achieve what you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, how hard that is because of all this noise. Because already we have the scripts, already we have all this information about trauma. If you do this, this is how adverse childhood experiences. It's just everything is coming at us. And sometimes I talk to parents, and when they come in, and I just focus a whole session on what are you doing right? What are you doing right? And then we talk, and I'm just like, I don't have any more tools for you. Just keep doing that, you know?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you get there, when you get them to focus there, you even just see them begin to strengthen, to light up. Because there is so much that we are doing right.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
really need to step back and lean into that. That's what you're talking, your own instinct.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And that reflection over perfection piece that we've always talked about, you and I,
Mm.
that idea that being a good, in inverted commas, parent
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily, it's not about being a perfect parent.
Mm.
It's not about getting it right all the time. It's not about, let's say, I want to be very clear, it is not about not shouting. Can we just say that?
Yeah,
Please,
let's say
for
that
the
again.
love of God, can we just say being a good parent is not about being as calm as a dead fish all the time? That is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about being aware and self-aware and reflective.
Yeah.
So that when you get to the end of the day and you're feeling a bit crappy about it, you can think, what went well today?
Yeah.
What am I not feeling so good about? And very neutrally think, no self-criticism, no self-hatred, no wailing guilt, but just, what am I going to do differently tomorrow?
Mm.
How could this look different tomorrow?
Mm.
Not how am I going to change the past? That's about mending and apologizing. That's a whole other call. But how do we reflect on this with a neutral tone in our internal voice, right? Without that self-recrimination and things like, I swore I was going to break a generational pattern and I failed, and now my child's going to. I always say to parents, so you know what? You've done a good job as a parent when your 21-year-old calls you and tells you they're going for therapy.
That's my statement too. You actually have succeeded if your child says, I think I need therapy.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I waited until I was 40. So God love my parents. They were good, but I was a bit late to the
yeah,
party.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, because you're raising them self-aware. You're also raising them to look within. You're raising
yes,
them to normalize mistakes, mistakes.
yes,
Report.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, to analyze and to be reflective, but not to sit in it, right? And I think this is a balance a lot of parents really find challenging is
Mm.
how do I raise a child who can be reflective without sitting in that heaviness? Because a
Mm.
lot of parents do, particularly mums, don't they? Let's call it what it is.
Mhm.
Mums especially, and especially a lot of the international mums I work with who are highly successful career-wise, very high-powered jobs, UN, embassy, et cetera, et cetera. So these are highly successful, ticked all the boxes individuals.
Mhm.
And the women who are doing those jobs have worked incredibly hard to get where they are. They've
Mhm.
done everything right. And then they have a child, and a bit like you and me, it suddenly becomes very difficult, much harder than they expected. And the guilt that comes with that
Yeah.
blocks your ability to reflect in an honest way.
Mm. So tell us a little bit more about the reflecting and sitting with it. What does that mean? The whole state.
Yeah. So a lot of what I do with parents is there's three kind of the parents I work with go through three steps, I guess, the three steps of the coaching that I do. And the first one is called radical responsibility.
Mhm.
That is really your ability to, it's almost like an out of body experience, right? To
Mhm.
look at your behavior and really deeply understand what is beneath that behavior. It's to iceberg yourself, basically, to be
Mm.
able to look beneath the surface at your own behavior
Mm.
and take responsibility for your behavior, not by feeling guilty or miserable or beating yourself up emotionally or frightening yourself, right?
Mm.
But by owning the reasons for that behavior.
Mm.
It's a subtle difference, I think, but it's really significant.
Able to
We're
own.
not talking about responsibility for your behavior. We all know that certain behaviors are not okay as parents. We know that. We're not going to get into it. But really looking beneath that and thinking, what is it that has caused that behavior? Because that's the thing that I need to change. And
Mm.
that's what I can take responsibility for.
Mm.
Simple things like I'm hungry. And when I'm hungry, I'm a bitch. Like, I don't know. So eat more. Put a
Okay,
snack in
you're
your
well
pocket,
fed.
right?
Yeah.
Be fed. Be fed.
Yeah.
When I'm tired, I'm cranky. So go to bed earlier,
Mm. Mm.
right? When I come home from work, I need time to decompress. So sit in your car on the driveway for 10 minutes. That's the taking responsibility piece and reflecting. You're not going, oh my God, I'm so horrible because I shout and I'm mean and I use mean
Mm.
language. Yeah,
Mhm.
all those things can be true. Absolutely.
Mm.
But the responsibility piece that stops you from wallowing in that kind of misery
Okay.
is proactively addressing the causes of that behavior.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And being able to go back and really look, where is this coming from, right?
Yeah.
So
And
you,
that's the generational piece, isn't it, as well? I mean, we all know that.
mm,
Habits.
yeah. So you talk about what radical responsibility.
Yeah.
What's the other pillars? What are the other pillars?
Oh, authenticity, which is my favorite.
Mhm.
I It speaks to me because growing up, even as a teenager girl, um, I had a lot of criticism around my personality,
Mhm.
even as a child, right? Too competitive, too loud, too emotional, very angry, all of these things. Um, Very much the norm for girls in the kind of 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah.
These were the labels that we were all given.
Yeah. The too much
Um,
label.
yes, the too much, the over the top.
Mm.
And then this continued even as an adult. Hey, I mean, I applied for three promotions before I became a coach, and I was doing other careers, always to do with children and parents and education, right? But three different sort of steps towards this.
Mm.
Um, and each time I didn't get the promotion, and I was told it was because of my personality.
You were told
So,
directly in your face, it's
yes,
because of your
yes,
personality.
because of your personality. I know, right? And I thought, oh, okay. And you internalize this stuff
Oh,
because I mean, they said this to me when I was a child. They say it to me as an adult. This must be true. And the authentic part of this for me that's so important is just being like, well, then maybe it is true. And maybe this is just who I am
mhm.
and getting comfortable with who I am as a person so that when I am parenting my child, they see me and not the person I wish I was.
Mhm.
And that's so important, isn't it? I mean, for two big reasons. Number one, because we want to model to our children what self-acceptance and self-love looks like,
Right,
right?
right.
The second piece for me is even more important is this idea of forming, secure attachment, deep emotional connection, whatever terminology you want to use. You cannot form that with your child
Mm-hmm.
if they are forming with a figment of your imagination, right? There is no secure attachment to be had between a child and the parent you wish you were. Yeah.
So they are attaching to a figment, to
Yeah.
something else, not you, the authentic you.
Yes. Yes. And so that ultimately is an insecure attachment because it's not
Mm.
sustainable. And
Yeah,
one day you're going to show your real self, and there's going to be deep confusion about what's going on here.
I've never
You
seen
know,
it that way.
yeah.
You talk about secure attachment, but I've never seen it that with your child actually attaching to someone who's not you. That's
Yes.
really
Yes.
insecure.
Right. And we see that a lot. That's the whole script piece,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Are you
right? Yeah.
are you creating a personality for this child because you've read all the books and Dan Siegel says I should do this and Tanya Payne says I should do that? And I mean, I'm a big fan of like a lot of Gabor Mate stuff, but like Gabor Mate has some crazy ideas about what a figment of parenting imagination could look like. And
Mhm.
if you read all his books, you're going to create some crazy kind of ideal of a parent, and then your child's like, well, I don't, who is this
Who are
person?
you? Yeah. Yeah.
And so for me, it was things like accepting attention span and I need to move around. And
Mm.
so we move every 5 to 7 years. And just being honest about it and being like, look, this is who I am. And I did it with my husband when I first met him. He says to me, apparently, I don't remember this, but he says to me 3 weeks into when we first met, he says, you turn, because we were quite old when we met. I didn't have time to be messing around at that stage in life. And he said, turn around to me, he said, listen, I'm leaving England. And if you never want to leave England, can we just not see each other again? Because I don't have time to mess around. And he was a bit like, okay, I could leave England. And he did 3 years later. He said it to me on the flight when we left. He was like, you told me we were going to do this. And I was like, did I?
I don't even remember.
I don't even remember
Yeah.
because that is who I am.
Mm.
And if I can do it with my partner, then what is the fear of doing it with my child?
Oh, yeah.
I am a parent who shouts. Am I proud of it? No, I'm not proud of it. And also, it's who I am.
Mm.
I am a person where when my feelings get big, they come out sometimes with volume.
Mm.
I have learned, and this is the other thing, right? You cannot learn to regulate self if you are not honest about who self is.
That face. Yeah.
So if I pretended that I wasn't a shouter, how am I connecting with my body to make my expression safer for everybody?
Mm.
Now, for example, I'm very happy to say to my child, listen, I'm really starting to lose it. I've just got to go next door and I'm just going to let it out. And I'll go next door and I'll be like, and then I come back in again and I'm like, I just don't want you to think that's aimed at you. I just have to get that out.
Can you imagine
Um,
how much you're teaching and modeling to your son when you
right?
do that, right?
Yes,
I love that.
yes,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So authenticity for me is deep meaning, and I think it is probably the most beautiful thing that you can do for yourself and your child is to be your true self. That doesn't mean we don't do the work and we're not constantly evolving and growing, but the growth has to come from a place of love,
Yeah. From a place of
not a
love,
place of deficiency. Yes.
not a place of criticism or we need to fix this. Because I think also when you do that, then you're less compelled to fix your child,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Mm.
If you love yourself, then you accept everybody, don't you? That's it. You're like, oh, you are who you are.
Mm.
I mean, my kid's a funny fish. We've talked about it before. He's a funny fish. I love him to bits, but
Yeah.
he is not always the easiest person to be with sometimes. He's 6 and it's like sometimes a 45-year-old trapped in the body of a 6-year-old, which is but with the emotional regulation of a 6-year-old. So
It can be
things are hard.
confusing, huh?
Yeah, things are hard. And I think to myself, if I didn't love myself by this stage, what would I think of him?
Mm.
And I would think that I would be saying maybe he should have an assessment.
Mm.
Maybe I should go and get him tested.
Mm.
And that's not to diminish that many children do need to be assessed and tested. That's not what I'm saying. But I would be looking for a reason to explain this behavior when actually this is who he is.
Yeah.
This is who he is. This is his personality. And kids are born with a personality, and we forget that.
Yeah. We forget that.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a big part of authenticity, isn't it? It's recognizing that.
Mm.
And then the third pillar that I do is presence. And that's about emotional connection, but also being present with yourself, which I guess links back to that authenticity because if you're not comfortable in your own company,
Mm.
then you will not be comfortable just being with your child. That busy brain thing, and all the parents I work with have that because they're all very successful. They're all moving all the time, busy brain, there's a lot going on.
Mm.
How do you learn to just sit and be with your child?
Mm.
Not need to do activities all the time, or go out all the time, or plan all the time, and manage all the time, and coordinate all the time. How do you let all of that go and just be like, you know what I'm going to do this Sunday? Nothing.
Yeah.
Just going to do nothing.
Yeah.
We're just going to sit around and see what happens.
Because we fill up the time because of the emptiness and the hollowness and the guilt and all these other noises. So we're like, okay, how can I silence it? Let's be busy.
Absolutely, yes.
Right?
And because you can't deal with your child's emotions because you're
Yeah.
not equipped to deal with
Yeah.
your own.
Your own. Yeah.
So you're like, anything I can do to avoid a meltdown,
Mm.
I'm going to do it.
Mm.
Right. And if that means driving around Nairobi National Park for 6 hours today, that's what we're going to do. So we don't have to deal with any feelings and we can just, or I'm going to sign you up for a whole bunch of after school activities because the prospect of spending a long time with you is really daunting to me and overwhelming and scary. And I just don't know what I'm supposed to do in that time.
So again,
Because
that's what you meant, presence with yourself first. Because it's also that the thought of spending time with myself is daunting, you know?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you mean I've got to just sit here and
Yeah.
just be on my own? And I'm like,
With my
mm-hmm.
thoughts. Are you sure?
Yeah, yeah. And so we do an awful lot of exercises there on simple things like, how to increase and how to stretch your concentration span. The whole kind of like just staring at a point and how long can you stare at it? And then do you look away? Okay, now go back to it. Things to train your brain to be more comfortable with doing nothing, basically, which in the world we live in today is,
We need it
yeah,
because everything else is baying for our attention.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
presence, huh? With
Hmm.
yourself and presence with the child as well.
Yeah,
As you were talking, I just thought about a friend of mine who decided to have a weekend away by herself, and the mom
absolutely.
called her and told her, "Are you just going to sit there with your thoughts the whole weekend?" She was shocked. Yeah, because
It's, yeah,
you don't know
it's
how
rare,
that,
isn't it?
right? It is. It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've had many friends who say to me, they're like, oh, I've got a friend, a new friend that we've made here, and they're fantastic. And they said to me, they're like, I just don't like going on holiday on my own. And I was like, it's like the dream for me. And I was like, oh, really? And they go, yeah, I just being on my own and walking around and not having anyone to share it with. And I go, okay, I get that bit, but
Yeah.
just a discomfort with just eating dinner on your own
Mm.
or this sort of and I think there's a part of that is people don't like to feel lonely. The reality is that humans are all alone, but that's different to being lonely. These are two very different things.
Yeah.
Maybe part of it is being a single child and that you kind of get used to being in your own company, and so there's comfort in your own company. Um, but I was the teen, like even at university, at college, I was the student that if my friends were busy and there was a movie I wanted to see, I would just go on my own. Um, if I was on my way home from somewhere and I was hungry and wanted dinner, I would just go in a restaurant on my own very happily.
Mm.
Couldn't care less.
Mm.
And I think that comfort in yourself and being able to just be in your own company is one of the greatest gifts that we can give our children.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's a big safeguarding thing as well, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because what we were saying before we even started this chat was, children in the world today and issues online and stuff like that, raising a child who is confident and comfortable being alone
Mm.
diminishes the chance of them seeking connection
Yeah. And
with
approval.
random people that they've never met,
Yeah.
right? Because they don't need other people to tell them that they're great.
Mm.
They're just like, I'm great.
Comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. So, yes, we are looking for strategies and tools, but if we were to have strategies and tools, let them be for ourselves, for our
Yeah.
own self-awareness, right? And so there's
Yeah.
this picture of, and we've alluded to it a little bit, of the ideal parent. So as you're working with parents, what are some of these myths and misconceptions that you try to challenge most often?
Yes. One of my favorites is the word no. I love the word no. Carol, it's like my favorite parenting tool. I get a little kick out of saying it, not because I'm a twisted person who likes making my child miserable. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? But because my ability to cope with his reaction to the word no is a testament to how hard I've worked on
Mm,
my parenting.
mm,
So when parents come to me and they say they don't like the word no, 9 times out of 10, it's because when they heard the word no as a child and they reacted to that word, I hate the word no, I react to it. I know you do too. You react to it when someone says no. Many of us do. My husband doesn't. God love him. I don't know how he does it.
wow.
People say no to him and he's like, okay. I'm like,
You're rejecting me.
yeah,
Right.
I'm like, oh, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting one, right? And again, that's part of who I am, and I'm okay with that. But when my son sort of hears the word no, he reacts. And when parents say to me they don't like the word no, I'm like, listen, it's not the word no that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is that when you heard the word no as a child, your trusted adult, whoever that was, usually a parent, would say no, you would react, and that adult would react to your reaction.
Mm,
And that is what you don't like.
mm.
You have a memory of being told to grow up, get over it. Big girls don't cry, big boys don't cry. Stop being a baby.
You're
You're
being
such a
entitled.
Yes, you're such a brat. You're so spoiled. Oh my God, how dare you? People are watching. What's Granny gonna say? Et cetera, et cetera. Father Christmas won't bring you any presents, or right? All of these crazy. The boo-boo man's gonna come and get you. The things that many parents heard growing up. And so in their mind, the word no is the bad thing. But actually, what was really unhelpful for them is not the word no,
Yeah.
but what happened afterwards.
Mm,
And so for me, when I say no, my son reacts to it, which is fair enough. My ability to just be there with him and be like, I understand this
mm.
is really a horrible feeling and I totally get it. And to respond rather than react
Yeah.
is one of those kind of myths around parenting that good parents don't say no. And I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. I mean, there's scripts on what to do or what to say instead of no. You've seen those scripts, right?
I'm like, no is a full sentence.
Yeah.
It's so you
Yeah.
can just say, as long as when you've said no, you then are willing and able to deal with the fallout,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one.
Mm.
I don't use the term gentle parenting. I loathe the term. I know it's become the most kind of like abused term in parenting.
Overused. Yeah.
And so I steer clear of it completely. But I do think there's also the sort of the pendulum of parenting where we've got the sort of permissive parenting on one side
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of and then there's the new trend, which is called FAFO parenting, which is,
What's that? Huh?
have you heard this? Yeah, so this is kind of going off a little bit. It's basically F, the swear word,
Uh-huh.
around and
Oh,
find out. So
and
this
find.
is,
Oh, okay. And find
yeah,
out.
yes. So this is going back to that more control, corporal punishment parenting model
Mm-hmm.
because we swung to permissive, gentle parenting, misunderstood as permissive, and now the pushback to it of kind of the FAFO parenting. And I'm like, somewhere in the middle between these two spectra, it's a spectrum.
Mm.
Somewhere in the middle is good parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing for me that's part of that is I have couples. So I do most of my clients are couples, and invariably one of them leans traditional and one of them leans less traditional,
Mm.
often permissive, to be honest. And I always say, you are never going to parent in the same way,
No, no.
right? It's a myth.
Yeah.
It's a myth, and we've talked about this loads of times,
Yeah.
haven't we?
Yeah.
It's a myth that you will have to parent in the same way. Number one, you're from
The
different
same
cultures.
page. Yeah.
Yes, you're from different countries. How is this possible? The country you come from, parents like this. The country you come from, parents like this. It is not possible for you to parent in the same way,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
And number two, you also have personalities and experiences of your own childhood that you're bringing into this space. So, what are the things that we need to agree on as parents?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the parameters that we will operate within as parents? Hopefully, we can all agree no
Yeah.
hitting, no spanking, no punishing, no, all this sort of stuff. But then within that,
Mm.
anything goes.
Yeah.
And this is that authenticity piece, isn't it? You've got to parent in a way that feels genuine to you.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there's my myth, the word no, and we
Mm.
don't all have to parent the same.
Being on the same page and agreeing,
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is we have our parameters, we have our what we call our core, what who we really are and what we agree with. But within there, let's be flexible. Let children benefit from the strict parent, children benefit from the less strict and maybe more flexible. They benefit from both, right? Right.
Yes. There's
Mm.
learning there, isn't there? I read an article the other day about a parent. who sends their child to an international school, and they said, in fact, this is something that's come up recently, even in conversations at my son's new school, and they were saying that the values of the school is so different to the values of home. And
Mm.
this is difficult for parent to manage because
Yeah.
the values at home are important to us. And particularly if we're parenting overseas, we're trying to hold on to our home culture, a
Mm.
big part of which is values.
Mm.
And, what I liked about the whole conversation around this was the argument that a child's life is enriched by variety.
Mm.
So if they have values at home and then they go to school and the values are slightly different, hopefully not like diametrically opposed, but slightly different, then there's richness in that for children,
Diversity, yeah.
right? And they might learn something new. And nobody's saying that they're going to substitute the home values. It rarely happens.
Mhm.
But what they are going to do is just learn to appreciate different perspectives. And if you're an international family and that's not something you want, you've chosen a very interesting lifestyle.
Right?
That's all I'm going to
Gonna have a hard
say.
time, right?
I'm just saying it's going
Yeah.
to be very difficult for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is also very important because part of the community who are part of this summit are for us, parents in the diaspora. So they may not
Right.
be globally mobile, as
Yeah.
in moving around a lot, but you chose
Yeah.
to go. You
Yeah.
chose to go. You are in a different space. And I
Yes.
love what you're saying, that they get enriched by that, the diversity, you know.
Yes.
And if we're able to
Absolutely.
shift our mindset like that, it makes a really big difference in accommodating all this.
It really does. And it opens the doorway to, one of my favorite things about parenting is that curiosity piece.
Mm.
If you can get behind the belief, truly believe that this could be enriching for your child and not conflicting,
Mm.
then you get to come at it with a real curiosity of how is this enriching?
Yeah.
And your children come home from school and you get to just be curious with no, and curiosity, let's be clear, means no fear, no ulterior motive.
And
You're
minded.
not digging,
Yeah.
right? You're
Mm.
just like, oh, interesting. Tell me more. What
Yeah.
does that mean to you? Is that something you've thought about? Just these questions where you're really getting to understand who your child is as they grow up.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much for the nuggets and the authenticity that you have brought into this space. Um, one final word of encouragement for globally mobile parents, when it comes to just raising children who are grounded and more so grounded in their identity.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest thing is if you are clear as a parent on what is really important to you, then you have to trust that your child will pick up on those things.
Mm.
Clarity of what is important to you is very easy to then pass on to your child, whether that's cultural beliefs, whether that's religious beliefs,
Yeah.
whether that's language skills, whatever that might be, a deep belief in service, whatever. Just be very clear on what is important to you and then trust that that clarity will help you to pass that on to your child.
Mm. I love that. Clarity of what is important to you. It becomes so much easier to pass on the values when we are clear.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah,
thank you so much, Anthi. This has been fun.
it happens.
Thank you for the wisdom that you have brought into this space.
Just do this
Yes.
every month, Carol. What else can we talk about?
I love that. And for those who want to reach out to Anthi and connect with the amazing work that she does, all her details and information will be part of the summit resources. So be sure to look out and reach out to her. Thank you so much, Anthi.
Thank you. Thank you.